Welcome to the EOB podcast, where we talk about the weekend box office and the new openings this weekend. Binno, and joining me is Sen Dong. Hey, so Sen, you went camping last weekend or last podcast, and I was going in at alone. I hope you didn't get mauled by any bear, but obviously you didn't because you're back.
Right. But wherever I went, it was really windy.
All right. Yeah, you missed out on two wide releases last weekend. Finding Dory, the sequel to Finding Nemo, and Central Intelligence, the comedy starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Kevin Hart. And both movies did relatively well. Dory did extremely well.
Wait. You're jumping 1 week ahead, right?
I'm jumping 1 week ahead? No, I'm not jumping 1 week ahead.
I missed the Conjuring 2, and now you see me too. Finding Dory was just over the weekend.
Yes, over the weekend, but we're not going back 2 weeks. We're going back just 1 weekend, which is this past weekend, Father's Day.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about those two as well. The Conjuring 2 and Now You See Me 2, as well as Warcraft.
I think we already talked about Warcraft.
Okay, all right.
All right, let's just go with Finding Dory and Central Intelligence.
Right. You're messing up with my intro here. Just roll with it.
All right, okay.
You missed out on Finding Dory and Central Intelligence. You were camping, and that's where we're at.
Yeah. I missed out on the predictions.
Right. So you don't get to chime in, which is good.
Why? What figures were you predicting?
Yeah, I said that, looking at the historical record, right? Toy Story 3 was the highest grossing, highest opening
for
movie.
Pixar movie.
For Pixar, yeah, for an animated movie, right? And then even Zootopia, I said even recently, Zootopia, which went on to gross like $1 billion, didn't even open that well. And I said, hey, it might open to, 90. If it does really well, like maybe 100 plus. But it opened to 136 million, becoming the number one movie the past weekend.
Yeah, also the highest opening ever for animated feature.
Right.
If you follow Pixar's track record, their animated sequels have done really well, especially the well-regarded ones. Even Cars 2, which, most people thought is like, a sting in Pixar's long track record, quality track record. Even Cars 2 opened better than the original Cars. And with their well-regarded sequels like Toy Story and Monsters University, those opened a lot better, nearly double their original figures. So, and Finding Dory, the first one was very well-regarded. It was, at the time, the highest grossing Pixar movie ever, I think until Toy Story 3. So, there's precedent that Finding Dory could break records and open really well.
Well, Finding Nemo opened in 2003, and it had a 70 million opening. And I said that 70 million back then is like 90 million today.
Yeah, it could be, or more.
Or more. It got a huge bump, a record-breaking bump.
Yeah, it nearly opened twice as well. But that's the same thing with Toy Story 3 over like Toy Story 2. Or Monsters University versus Monsters Inc. Even Cars 2, like I said previously, did better than Cars, even though it wasn't that well regarded.
We expect a bump. That's why I had it conservatively. I say conservatively, I had it open to 90 million.
Right.
Because of the bump. I say that hey, it'll do well. But when we touch upon like Toy Story, right? Then that is a very like I say, beloved franchise story wise. The characters, it went through two movies, and the third Toy Story is kind of like the, like Hunger Games, Mockingjay, the final movie of the series.
Right.
Where all the gangs get together, and you expect it to do that well. Right. Whereas Finding Dory is like, whoa, it came out in 2003. You know, and it seems like Finding Dory, the title itself is kind of so generic. It's like, okay, Dory is off to find her family, instead. So it's almost sounds like a rehash of a story, and then we're gonna meet these colorful, all these sea creatures who haven't seen before.
Right.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect it to be record opening. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I could see that though. Mainly because, the reviews came out and they were so glowing.
Which is typical Pixar, really, right? I mean...
Well, typical classic Pixar. Not in the recent years.
Not Good Dinosaur.
Yeah, not Good Dinosaur, not Cars 2, This is a peak Pixar years. I mean, the reviews were way better than I expected at 95%. Even Monsters University only managed, I think, like high 70s or low 80s. When the reviews came out, I'm like, wow. Like you, I saw the trailer. I'm like, this looks like one of these generic sequels. But, turns out the reviews were great. Turned out to be nearly just as well reviewed as the first one. And the first one, I think Toy Story gets the most... is the most talked about, but people forget that Finding Nemo was the highest grossing original Pixar movie for a while. I think one of those things is Toy Story is probably easier to sequelize than Finding Nemo because Finding Nemo seems more like a standalone film. That's probably why Disney wasn't pushing them that hard to make a sequel.
Well, I'm sure they were pushing. I mean, they're pushing everything.
Yeah. I'm sure they were pushing, but I think it was probably harder to come up with a sequel version of it because it seemed like such a standalone film.
Right, it took Disney to say, hey, if you're not going to make one, we're going to just buy you and force you to make one.
Or worse, we're going to make one ourselves.
All right.
We're going to use our old direct-to-video departments to crank it out.
Yeah, that's the thing. They had, even though they had like a distribution deal, I believe Disney had rights to sequel, right? They have a number of movies, original movies that Pixar was to make for Disney, but Disney, I guess, owns the sequels or something like that, or that doesn't count against their original movies.
Well, the deal was because Disney owns all the sequel rights to these films. Disney only wanted them to make original films because Disney, back in Disney's good old days, they have a direct-to-video arm which was, very profitable that cranks out sequels to their classics.
Still is. Yeah,
still is. Although John Lasseter kind of put a stop to it. He's like, it's bad for branding, it's bad for their business. He kind of put his foot down and said, hey, we're not going to make these cheapo direct-to-video sequels anymore. Anyway, back then, Disney's game plan has always been we make original films for theaters and then we make these huge profits by making direct-to-video sequels. So back then, even though Pixar was cranking out one hit after another, they didn't make any sequels because Disney wanted them to make original films so that they can have more films to sequelize when the deal is done. Anyway,
okay.
So now that they got them, they're cranking out more sequels, and looks like Finding Dory is one of the good ones. Okay.
I have to say that Finding Dory is kind of a redemption for Andrew Stanton.
Oh yeah,
he
because
directed
of John Carter.
The ill-fated John Carter. Yes.
Wait, did Andrew Stanton also did Inside Out?
No, he did WALL-E.
Oh, okay.
You might be thinking about Pete Docter or something like that.
Yeah, okay. Hey, it's never a bad idea to make a sequel to the highest grossing original Pixar movie.
Right, you rebound from the biggest bomb ever, according to some press, right, with a huge success. Yeah, you follow that up and that's how you rebound.
Right.
Instead of going from bomb to bomb.
Right. Let me see what John Carter... yeah. Ooh, yeah, that lost a lot of money.
Right, okay, so here's what's going on, right? Finding Dory, huge success. Disney's thinking, ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
Who else can they find next?
Right. Obviously people like the characters, right?
Oh, I know where you're getting now. The eye patch shark's gonna go in.
Who knows? Everything's on the table because, hey, there's a lot of money to be made. Well reviewed, commercially, critically, it's huge, successful movie, and, obviously they're thinking more.
Yeah.
Why not? Give the people what they want.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're getting peak Pixar again. We're Finding Dory. What's their next one? Moana? Was it Moana?
Yeah, Moana, that one, hey, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Oh, really? Huh?
Yeah, it's about some island god or whatever, lots of water involved.
Oh, okay. I haven't watched the trailer.
Yeah, the trailer's out, go catch it, and, there's some mixed reactions, I guess.
Oh, mixed reactions? So it might be Good Dinosaur?
We don't know.
We don't know. It's only a teaser,
it's
right?
Still early. Yeah, they just put out I guess the first teaser or trailer, whatever it is.
All right.
So we'll see. It's not everything could be a hit, right?
Right.
Not everything could be Finding Dory. As long as it's successful, it's good enough.
Right. All right, speaking of Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Coming in number 2 is Central Intelligence, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, comedy with Kevin Hart. He plays, I guess, either a CIA or FBI guy. In high school or something like that, or whatever. He was this fat dude. He lost a lot of weight and became this man of action. He became this cool guy, and Kevin Hart became this, this meek guy. Kevin Hart plays a straight guy for once in this movie.
Oh, really?
To Dwayne Johnson's wild guy. He reacts to Johnson's antics.
Both of them are pretty funny. From the trailer, it looks like Kevin Hart is still the... I won't say he's the straight guy. He's still the...
Well, he's the sensible guy. He's our lead into this weird stuff that's happening.
Right.
He's the guy who has a job, regular job, right? And then he got caught up in the stuff.
Yeah, this espionage and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised that they were able to get this movie made for $50 million, and at that budget, $34.5 million is very good. I mean, in a couple of weeks, it's gonna be profitable in theaters already. That's not including overseas and video.
Yeah, I actually predicted high on this movie. I thought it would open to 40 to 45, given that it's the Rock Johnson and Kevin Hart, who has a string of recent successes.
Right.
And I went to look at Johnson's track record, and his highest solo effort is San Andreas, which opened to 54 million, and the rest, where he is kind of like the lead actor, the sole star, they're so kind of like this, Central Intelligence.
Or less.
Or less.
So I guess you were expecting a little bit more based on San Andreas and based on the Fast and Furious films, and of course Kevin Hart has been on a roll. So I mean, rightfully so. But I guess 35 million is not too bad considering the $50 million budget.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and also the buddy comedy, action comedy bump. It's the kind of like the only action comedy right now, I guess, in theaters with two very likable people.
Right, and the reviews are solid. 66% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, like you say, budget's $50 million because it is an action comedy, and I guess it's not that much involved. Most of the stuff wins to salary, I guess, with the rocks. And I put in decent figure, opening figure.
Right.
All right, let's move on to number 3, The Conjuring 2. It pulled in about 15.5 million over the weekend. Experienced a 61% drop off from the previous week. This is the second weekend. And so far it made 71.7 million domestic. Budget's 40.
That's a bigger drop than the original film during its second weekend. So it's not quite holding on as well, and it didn't open nearly as well too.
Well, it opened
about
pretty much the same.
Yeah, opened about the same, but the drop-off is higher. Hey, but, at a $40 million budget, it's doing extremely well. And for a horror film lately, this is, mass media horror film. Right? Because lately, all those Jason Blum productions tend to open at 10 million, and they make 20 million or 30 million. And The Conjuring 2, we have another mainstream horror hit.
Oh, right. Worldwide right now it's 187. So even though it doubled the budget, I think the first movie cost about 20 million or something like that. Conjuring 2, they upped the budget to 40 million. Still doing quite well.
Yeah, doing really well. I mean, nearly 190 million worldwide at a budget of 40 million. That's really well.
Yeah, because the first movie did so well, I guess people were looking for more, and they came out and check it out.
Yeah, and the reviews were great. Pretty good, especially for a sequel, 77%, and especially for horror films, that's really good.
And James Wan.
Yeah, he's the master of horror now, and he's entering into other genres.
Well, you could say he cut his teeth with horror, right? But then he branched out to Fast and Furious. Yeah,
well, according to him, he's always wanted to make these big event blockbusters, and his way in was to make these chippy horror films. But that's a pretty good, it's pretty good when you become the master of a certain genre on your way to achieving your ultimate goal of, making blockbusters, right?
Well, I think every director wants their stuff seen, right? It's just like he accomplished what, I guess, M. Night Shyamalan couldn't, right? They kind of both started out with kind of genre films. But Shyamalan kind of painted himself to the corner, almost like he has just one trick up his sleeves.
Yeah, the twist ending.
Right, James Wan is kind of like I don't want to make the comparison. It's kind of like Steven Spielberg. You throw any genre at him and he could make it good, right? Because he's flexible enough.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I guess you can kind of say that. So far he did have that Kevin Bacon thriller. I forgot what it's called. It was his first attempt to make an action movie.
Death Sentence.
Death Sentence. Yeah.
which made only 16 million worldwide.
Yeah,
but hey, everyone has a stinker in them.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't call it a stinker. I mean, it was thrilling and it is suspenseful, and you're never bored. The only problem I had with it was, and it was the same kind of a worry that I have with Furious 7 before the film actually opened, was that it had this weird mix of action and horror. It's filmed like a horror film. It was dark, it was creepy, but then it was also trying to be an action film, which was at the time I felt was kind of a weird mix. Like, Furious 7 was just a straight action film. There were barely any horror elements in it.
Well, I guess Death Sentence, it's not a death sentence for him afterwards. But I guess he learned from that and to not mix elements.
Not overly mix, his horror, techniques.
Right, and his next movie is Aquaman.
Yeah,
Warner Brothers.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting because, Aquaman is widely considered to be kind of the weakest subject.
Yeah, if he can make that successful, then, hey.
Then, hey, he can make anything a success, right? I mean, Aquaman. He talks to fish.
Right.
And with a star who's not known to carry movies.
Yeah.
So, really interesting to see when it comes out in 2018, how Aquaman will do.
Right. All right, should we move on to another sequel?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, number 4, Now You See Me Too. Did about 9.7 million over the weekend. A pretty steep drop-off, 57%. And after 2 weeks, it has already grossed 41 million, which is pretty far behind the first film. At its current rate, it looks like it'll probably top off at around 60 million. I think the first film made about... Domestically, the first film made about 120 million, twice as much. Worldwide is at 91 million. I don't think it opened in China yet. The first film did pretty well in China. Unless it does extremely well in China, I don't think we're going to see Now You See Me 3.
Yeah, I said Now You See Me 2 is a sequel for the sake of sequel because the first movie did so well. And then they just made it, another one, to cash in.
Although I could see, it's not like Finding Nemo. It wasn't a standalone type of film. It's one of those films where, you gather a group of people and they have specialized skills, and it could be easily sequelized, and I could see them doing it with the intention of making sequels. So, it wasn't quite one of those standalone films. And it was, like you said, it was a surprise hit. But I could see them, when they originally filmed it, to have the intention of making sequels.
Yeah, the thing with these kind of things, like even Dory, right? You have to have the central characters that you care about, you want to return to and follow the story. With the Now You See Me characters, like who do you attach on?
They're all pretty interesting. In the first one, like you said it in a couple of podcasts ago, it's kind of like, or maybe I read it somewhere else, it's kind of like the Ocean's 11 with younger actors.
Yeah, we said that.
Yeah, but that's pretty much what it is. And I mean, it's more of a film that's more open to sequels than, say, Finding Nemo. Sure, there are characters you care about. This one is more like, hey, there are characters... Fun, it's more of a fun movie. And the first one was more of a surprise hit, but maybe they feel like, hey, one time was interesting enough. The first one was kind of fresh and original to see them use a techniques of a magician to make something interesting, like a international, espionage, and turn it into like a Ocean's 11 / James Bond type movie with, magic, which was kind of fresh and original. But the second one is one of those concepts that only works well once, and then afterwards people are like, I've seen it, it was interesting, I don't need to see another one.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about straight to video. Now You See Me 2 is kind of like the perfect straight to video movie.
Yeah,
You have the
that's
first
true.
movie that people say, oh, it's fresh and new. Now You See Me Too. It's kind of like, oh, I kind of seen the first movie. I'm interested in seeing the second movie, more. But I don't want to head out to theaters. I'll wait until whenever to catch it. It's not one of these must-see, rush out to theaters to catch movies.
Right, and I guess it's one of those films where, like you said, even if they have the intention of making sequels, and even though it's a hit, the premise only supports one film.
Well, it depends on the budget, right? Obviously, there's interest in the movie, by the box office. But like you said, the concept is new, fresh once.
Yeah.
And you need something more to draw people in. It couldn't be like, oh, okay, we're using magic again to pull off some other stuff at some other location.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the extra stuff. That's why you see the drop.
Yeah. A lot of this stuff is you don't know until you do it.
Oh, that's true. But that's why we're analyzing after the fact, saying, hey, this is what happened.
Yeah. And the first one, was such a huge surprise hit. I mean, 120 million for a film that I was thinking, hey, if they can make 30 or 40 million out of this, it's decent. But, ended up making 120. And this one, I'm not sure what the budget is. It's by Lionsgate. Probably couldn't be too high, but nonetheless, it's kind of a disappointment. It is a disappointment from the first one.
Okay, the first movie cost 75 million. Oh yeah, I read that it cost roughly the same.
Oh, okay. Okay, so they may make a small profit.
Well, I guess like we said, we don't know what the tax breaks other distribution deals.
Yeah, that's why we'll have to take their word for it. If they say 80 million, we'll base it off of that. And
right.
if it's around 80 million, it's already at 90 million worldwide. It'll probably get to 160, when it opens in China, and that's probably a break-even point theatrical, and then they'll make their money through home video. And for something like this, there is such a thing as a wait for video. For sequels that disappointed in theaters, they tend to clean house on video. I mean, like Rush Hour 3, which was disappointing in theaters. It became like the most rented video of this year, beating even bigger films like Pirates of the Caribbean 2. So there is a, hey, I'm gonna wait for video, and Now You See Me Too seems like it has that kind of thing going.
Yeah, right. I mean, like they say that, hey, $10 might be too much to pay for Now You See Me Too, but $5 on video.
Yeah, obviously a lot of people have seen the first film and they probably want to see a second film, but they would probably rather see, I can see another movie out there.
Hey, why not? Finding Dory, just throw it out there.
Yeah.
Because
or Central Intelligence.
Right. It's that those are the two big movies. Those are two new releases. Given the choice between those two, and Now You See Me Too,
right.
You want to put your money on the movies you want to see more, right? And then like I said, pay $5 to rent the movie once it comes out on video because it's not a must see.
Yeah. Or it's not even $5 now. With Redbox, you can rent it out for I think $1 or $2.
Oh yeah, that's only if you just want to drive to the this grocery store. I'm talking about like streaming options right now.
Right.
Either Netflix, monthly fee,
right.
Or you go on these Amazon Prime, or whatever, right?
Yeah, there is that convenience.
Those online things.
Right.
Yeah, there's that convenience thing going on. But the blockbuster pricing, right? $5.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of
blockbusters.
Number 5. Yeah. Blockbuster or not, or the anti-blockbuster.
Right.
Well, you could say it is a blockbuster, right? But
in China, it's a huge blockbuster.
Yeah. Right. So number 5, Warcraft. In its second weekend, it pulled in 6.5 million, 73% drop off. And in 2 weeks, it only pulled in 37.7 million here, domestic. The worldwide figure, though.
Well, let's mention the budget first.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
At a budget of 160 million, so 40 million, about 38 million in 2 weeks is awful. And this steep drop off means people don't really care about it in the U.S. If you're not looking at international numbers, this is like one of the biggest bombs of the summer.
Yeah.
But if you look at the international market, it's already at worldwide is already at 378 million. Which at a budget of 160 million is going to be profitable. It's going to be a decently profitable film, and most of that is based on the 200 million that they made in China. online games all very popular in Asia. So, maybe that's why it's such a huge hit in China, because that region of the world where, you hear about people playing so much online games that they forget to eat and drink water, and there are tragic deaths in these online cafes. Maybe this is why it's such a huge hit in China.
Well, there is another take on this.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, there's another take. This Warcraft is produced by Legendary Pictures, which is owned by Wanda, a Chinese company, and Wanda owns a lot of theaters in China.
Well,
so there's this angle to it,
They own a lot of theaters in the U.S. too.
Yeah, that's true, but yeah. I guess U.S. I guess the brand here is not as strong as in Asia, right? But then, in China, there's this weird thing going on. All these weird movies come out of nowhere and become like these huge hits, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I think because China's market has, originally, Hong Kong used to be the biggest market for Chinese films. And in Hong Kong, it's really, they export their films and they make most of their money through exports from Hong Kong. But back in the glory days of Hong Kong, movies that make 3 or 4 million are considered blockbusters. But now in China, movies make 400 million. So now you actually have Hollywood in China where big stars like Jackie Chan can instantly go out, make a movie, and have it make 100 million. Even Sammo Hung, who's like way past his prime, can go out, make a family film, not even an action movie, called My Beloved Bodyguard, and that movie ended up making 50 million. So it's now became, like Hollywood, where you have these stars and directors who are name brands can go out and actually open movies. And a lot of it seems strange. It might seem strange to us because we only hear about Jackie Chan and Jet Li, but they have a lot of homegrown talent who can actually go out and open movies now.
Yeah, well, obviously the money is there. That's why people, Hollywood right now, so desperately want to get their movies in.
Yeah.
Into China. And as shown with Warcraft, right? Bombing here in the U.S. doesn't necessarily mean anything right now, as long as it's a success there, right?
Yeah, so now Hollywood might be making movies, thinking, hey, how, one, something that I read online, a film executive said, you have Hollywood, you have China, and you have the rest of the world. So now when you make a movie, you think, well, how will this appeal to Hollywood? And then how will it appeal to China? And then how will it appeal to the rest of the world? So, yeah, like you said, a movie bombing here might not necessarily mean it's a failure as long as it does well in China or the rest of the world.
And it helps to have the Chinese government having your back.
Yeah. That's why, nowadays you see a lot of films that, unexpected films that has a logo of a Chinese production company. I see it a lot now. I go to the movie for some random film and then I'll see a logo from a Chinese production company. So a lot of studios are going after the Chinese investment to get the co-production label so that they can get 45% of the profits from China instead of just 25%.
Yeah, that's true. And then which results into sometimes different cuts of the movie.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes they have more scene with Chinese actors, but it's cut out for domestic release.
Yeah. Although China's cracking down on that. Iron Man 3 tried to, they wanted a co-production deal, so they hired some popular Chinese actors who created a few extra scenes for Iron Man that only people in China will see.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that, really.
Yeah, but China cracked down on that. Because the whole emphasis on co-production deals is that, hey, we know that Hollywood is, in terms of making globally appealing films, is the best, so they wanted the whole idea with these co-production deals is that Chinese people can work on these Hollywood productions to learn how Hollywood makes their movies, not just doing these extra stuff so they can get their 45%.
No, I think there's the other element to it too. There's that, to learning the craft, and there's, you said, Iron Man, cracking down on, just inserting scenes just for their market, right?
Yeah.
And they don't like it is because they want their culture, I guess, seen worldwide instead of just there. It's like promoting the country, I guess, to the outside world.
Yeah,
so I guess that's why they want to crack down on that.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. That's actually the number one goal is to have the world see more the Chinese culture in movies.
Right, because their own movies couldn't really get out, and I guess Hollywood is a way in. To the global market.
Right. There's that. What they're hoping is that these talent involved in these co-production deals would learn these stuff and produce Chinese movies that would be appealing globally. So far, I mean, you can see some improvement globally, but it's not. I don't think it's nearly at the point that they were hoping for.
Well, I guess what the world learned throughout all these movies is that the Chinese government is really, really willing to help out America when they're in a tough spot.
Right. So. And the rest of the world, actually.
Right.
They bailed out. I think they helped bailed out a lot of countries in Europe too.
Right. You need an extra rocket? Hey, we got one.
Right.
Need robots? Hey, we got those too.
Right.
So yeah, there's that. Okay.
All right. Anyway, let's move on.
To number 6, which is X-Men Apocalypse. Pulled in $5.2 million over the weekend. Experienced a 47.5% drop off from the previous weekend, and it made $146 million. So domestic so far.
Mm-hmm.
So how many weekends has it been?
It's been 4 weekends.
4 weekends. So one of the lower grossing X-Men movies, really.
Yeah, worldwide is at 510 million. I think worldwide is somewhere in the middle, if not the upper end of X-Men movies. Domestically, it's one of the lower grossing X-Men movies, I think.
Right. Yeah, worldwide is number 3 right now.
Oh, actually,
Deadpool.
Actually, worldwide is one of the higher grossing X-Men movies.
Well, yeah, worldwide, Deadpool's obviously the highest one, right?
Yeah.
But it could be more because it didn't open in China. Yeah. And then number 2 is X-Men Days of Future Past, and X-Men Apocalypse is number 3.
Oh, so that's actually not too bad. Even at a budget of 178 million, that's not too bad.
Well, but still, it's concerning, as I said, because it's that the franchise, it's kind of spiraling downward here.
Yeah.
And you don't want that with your big tentpole and your Fox. You only have X-Men.
Yeah, right. Especially after Days of Futures Past, that was one of their high points because that film not only did well domestically, it also did well globally. And before the emergence of Deadpool, it was the highest grossing X-Men film domestically and globally. So they reached a high, but then I think a lot of people wanted to embrace this one, X-Men Apocalypse. It's just that it disappointed critically and commercially.
Yeah, I mean, if you follow the X-Men, I mean, Apocalypse is one of the, I guess, most powerful, villains in that universe, right? But I guess it then came through. Before it was, Magneto, Xavier, X-Men, X-Men against X-Men, 2 dueling philosophies to how to integrate themselves or, get along with the regular people. Right, and then X-Men is kind of different. It's like, you have this powerful guy who's take over the world. It's kind of similar to other
or maybe it's just franchise fatigue. I think there's a couple things going here. Even though these are reboots and spin-offs, it's still this is still an X-Men movie, and it's like what is it, the 6th one? Not counting the Wolverine movies. If you count the Wolverine movies, it's like the 8th or 9th one.
Well, if you count everything, it's the 9th one.
Yeah, if you count everything, it's the 9th one. So they've been cranking these out like every 1 or 2 years. So there might be that the franchise fatigue. And number 2, there might be a Spider-Man reboot fatigue.
Yeah, that's why I did the comparison. It's like, when you just have this universe all by yourself and you're alone, there's only so many places you can go. Just kind of similar to Spider-Man, at which it's another bad guys you have to fight. Right. What else is there? Like you say, there's a fatigue going on. Oh, there's another baddie trying to take over the world. We've seen that.
Yeah, sure. You replace most of the original cast with younger stars, but that's not all that interesting in terms of rebooting. But Deadpool was interesting because it's rated R. It's a wisecracking superhero, something we haven't seen too much, I guess, maybe except for the Iron Man, I guess.
Yeah, I see two ways out for them. One is to lay down on the X-Men for now and just do some of the individual character movies, or join up with Marvel like Sony did and expand the universe.
Yeah, I'm not sure they're at that point yet.
They're not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Mainly because of Deadpool, how well Deadpool did, and how well Days of Futures Past did. It'll depend on how well the third Wolverine movie does. And they have Deadpool 2, so considering how well Deadpool did, we can expect that Deadpool 2 will do pretty well, really well. And if Wolverine, which is kind of highly iffy since the last Wolverine movie, despite being well reviewed, didn't do all that well domestically compared to other X-Men films. But they're throwing in the R-rated element to it, so we'll have to see if the next Wolverine movie does better than expected and Deadpool 2 does well, then hey, they might not have to go down the Sony path.
Well, yeah, like I said, there is a blueprint for them, right? Yeah. Because of Deadpool. Remember how much Deadpool costs?
Yeah, like 50 million.
Yeah, 50 million. Like I said, they could do these individual movies for around that much, and build up some of the characters more, side story more.
Yeah, some of these side characters could be made for 50 million.
Or less.
Yeah, or less.
Because some characters you don't need that much. It is really about getting you to care about these characters and what happened to them, right? And then this X-Men just throw in all these characters, and you have a trouble following them.
Yeah. The only thing is, if they're having trouble pushing the most popular X-Men, Wolverine, how are they gonna find success in the other smaller characters?
Well, that's where you have the blueprint. You follow the blueprint.
Why? Make them cheaper.
Deadpool.
Yeah,
make them cheaper and then have a couple of them show up. You don't need every X-Men. You just need a couple.
That's true. Which is kind of like the Marvel blueprint too, because Ant-Man, they threw in a couple, Marvel characters too.
Mm-hmm. Right. So there is a way out for them, but they can't really do these huge, epic X-Men movies and, without anything to show for it. It can't be about, world destruction anymore. Yeah. We're getting that with ID4, too, coming up. We're getting that, Turtles?
Yeah. Although we could also be overreacting to one movie because, hey, Days of Futures Past was a high point. Deadpool was a high point. This year, we have a dip with Apocalypse. So we might be just overreacting to this one movie when the previous one did so well.
Yeah, but you have to look at what's going on with what other people are doing, right? They're doing world destruction. We're doing world destruction. You know what I'm saying? They're doing good guys versus good guys. Civil War, whatever. And we're doing that too.
Yeah.
Right? You can't really be within the pack. Is what I'm saying. Is that people will say, oh, I've seen that already. You know what I'm saying? That's why your movie is underperforming relative to theirs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of underperforming movies, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows did 5.2 million over the weekend. Suffers another steep drop off of 64%. And it has already grossed 72 million after 3 weeks. Looks like it'll probably top out at around 85 million at a budget of 135 million, which is way lower than what the previous film did. So it's a huge disappointment for Paramount. Worldwide, it's only at 142 million. So unless it does really well in China, this could lose some money.
Yeah, so I guess the first Turtle was a big success because of Michael Bay. He upped the budget and he did something, I guess, put his own signature on it.
Yeah, right.
And the second movie, people don't, I guess, not that interested in Turtles.
Yeah.
Which you could say is because historically people aren't that interested in Turtles, right? It's just that Michael Bay came in and rebooted the franchise with his stuff.
Well, I wouldn't say they're not that interested.
Well, not enough to justify the 135 million budget.
Yeah. There is interest, but was there enough interest to justify 135 million budget? But hey, obviously the first film Michael Bay was able to draw them out on the second film. I guess all those people came out for nostalgia, and even though the second film is considered by many to be better than the first, all the parents who took their kids out to see the first one didn't feel a need to take them out to see a second one.
Well, like I say, we're considering what else is in theaters. Do you spend money on Turtles movie or some other ones?
Yeah, like the Jungle Book or the Angry Birds.
Right. And like we said, this could make a killing on home video.
Yeah, it probably will. All right, should we move on to a completely different kind of movie? Something that's not about world destruction and CGI?
Well, sure. Okay, coming in at number 8 is like you said, a different type of movie. It's a romance titled Me Before You. I guess it's based on a book starring Emilia Clarke and Sam Claflin. Claflin plays this wheelchair-bound guy who got, I guess, accident left him paralyzed from the waist down. And Clarke plays this person who takes care of him, and I guess they hit it off.
And it's one of the surprise hits of the summer. It has already grossed, 46 million and a budget of only 20 million?
Yeah, and it opened way higher than what I projected it to do. It opened to 18 million. You know, I thought it would be a single-digit opening, but it surprised me. I did way better than that. Yeah,
the worldwide figure is at 82 million. 4 times his budget, which is highly profitable.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I guess it's a surprise to me because, you know, Emilia Clarke, outside of her Game of Thrones characters, isn't really that big of a name.
Yeah.
Sam Claflin, who's he? So yeah, surprise hit.
And these romance movies have been kind of slowly trending down. You know, the Nicholas Sparks type of movie, even though this isn't a Nicholas Sparks novel. But it is another one of these romance novels, and it proves that, hey, there's still more of these movies to adapt.
Well, you know, romance movies or a romantic comedy, what have you, is always a genre in itself, and there's always audience for those.
Yeah, and I guess maybe another one reason why it also did so well was, you know, it's well paced, because if you look at the movies in the top 10, you know, it's either animated movie or, you know, it seems like it's mostly movies for guys. You know, Central Intelligence, well, there's a horror film, and then there's all these action movies, and Me Before You kind of sticks out. It's like the only romance in the top 10.
Yep, that's true. And well positioned, cheap. If it costs 50 million to make, we wouldn't be saying it's a surprise hit.
Yeah, right.
But you throw a movie that's different enough and offer an alternative, right? Because not every person is an 18-year-old male who's interested in action movies. It's a movie that serves a different type of audience.
Right. All right. Moving on to number 9. Alice Through the Looking Glass did 3.6 million. After 4 weeks in release, it has grossed 69 million. Budget of 170 million. It's another huge disappointment. Worldwide is at 237 million. Compared to what the first film did, which was, I think, nearly $1 billion, it's a huge disappointment, and at a budget of 170 million, it's gonna lose money.
Yeah, I mean, we touched upon this before. It's like the first movie did so well because, you know, it was at the height of the 3D craze, you know, and the second movie, 3D is a big selling point as well. So, you know, once, I guess, the fad, I'm not sure if it's a fad, but, you know, like...
It is a fad in the US, yeah.
Well, yeah, it is a fad, but, you know, like, people are paying a premium for this, you know, because of the 3D. Like, what? You know, they're not into that anymore, you know, until the next Avatar movie. Yeah,
and then Johnny Depp is no longer the huge draw that he was anymore.
Yeah, I guess he has a string of misses. I'm not sure if he... you know, until the next Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, right.
I guess.
Even then, you're not sure how well that's going to do now with a string of duds.
That's the thing with sequels; it can only go so long.
Yeah.
Yes, and high-priced sequel that came years after the first movie, and it's, I guess, based on a fad.
Yeah. Speaking of sequels, but one that's doing a lot better, at number 10, Captain America: Civil War. 2.3 million. So it crossed the 400 million mark over the weekend. It did 401 million. Worldwide is at 1.14 billion. So, another huge hit for Marvel and Disney.
Yeah, and look, worldwide all time is at the 12th spot.
Pretty good.
Yeah. All right, so that's it for the top 10. Should we move on to the openings?
Sure.
Okay, so for the openings, we have, you could say, 4 wide releases. We have, of course, Independence Day Resurgence, Free State of Jones, The Neon Demon, and The Shallows. Okay, let's go with the Independence Day Resurgence, which is really ID42.
Mm-hmm.
The sequel to Independence Day, that's missing Will Smith. The story, I guess, takes place 20 years after the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Goldblum, Bill Pullman, Vivica A. Fox returns.
Mm-hmm.
But leading the new cast is Liam Hemsworth. Who's the other guy? Okay, they didn't even put names on the poster, so whatever.
Yeah. All right.
Which means they don't care. I mean, it's not Will Smith, so the young actors doesn't really matter.
Okay.
What matters are aliens and space battles.
Right, and it's Roland Emmerich, right?
I guess so.
Let's see here. So the first one did 306 million in the U.S. and 817 million worldwide. So back in the day, it was a huge hit in 1996. But it's been a while. It's been, 20 years? Nearly 20 years?
Mm-hmm. Opened in 1996. It's 2016 now.
And it doesn't have Will Smith. Sure, Roland Emmerich has been able to crank out huge hits without Will Smith, without big stars. Yeah, it's been a while. I'm not sure how this will do. I don't think it's going to be as big a hit as the first one because, like you said, we've seen so much mass mayhem already.
Yeah, these movies are blending in together, right?
Yeah.
Instead of a powerful mutant trying to take over the world, we have aliens.
Yeah, we've already seen enough buildings being blown up into tiny, meticulous pieces.
Oh, wait. Okay.
Yeah.
Independence Day, right? Probably the first movie where the White House get blown up.
Right.
I think.
Okay.
And it was a huge shock, I guess, to the audience then.
Right. I just remember the first Independence Day was when you see all these cars being, blown up and into very well-crafted explosions that we haven't seen before. Basically, world mayhem and destruction that we never seen before in film at the time. Roland Emmerich was it 2012? Actually I'm surprised he was able to blow up the world in very interesting ways again. I was like, whoa, this is like people said, explosion porn. I'm like, wow, I didn't think you can blow the world up anymore in any more interesting ways. But he was able to do it with 2012. But Independence Day Resurgence just seems like another. Right now it is, like you said previously, another mass mayhem, another explosion movie. There's nothing in here that we haven't seen before, in the last 2 months. Sure, it has the Independence Day brand, but it's without Will Smith.
Yeah. Here's my concern, right?
Okay.
Is this the new Independence Day Terminator 2 or is it Terminator Genesis? It's where the sequel, when you explain stuff, it kind of diminished. When they say sequel, kind of diminish the previous movie. That's what Genesis did, right?
Yeah. Well, at least Genesis has a Arnold back. This one doesn't have Will Smith. So I don't know.
From the sound of things, you're not that high on the movie. You have
I'm not
doubts
very high
about the movie.
I have my doubts. I'm just thinking like very low. I'm thinking like 20 million.
No.
20 to 25 million low.
No. Couldn't be that low. Why would you think it's 20 million? Because
20 to 25 million low. I'm just not feeling it.
It has a brand
if Will
name.
Smith, if Will Smith is in it, then I'll think differently. But without him, And like I said previously, Roland Emmerich has been able to open movies without huge stalls. But I'm not feeling this one though.
It's not gonna make that low because there's a awareness for this movie because I'm sure everyone's seen it already.
I'm probably really low on this. Here, you make your prediction and then I'll tell you what XSX says.
Okay, I am going without Will Smith, 45 to 50 million, and I think that might be low.
Okay, you're going 40 to 45. So XSX has it at 68 million. So I'm probably way off. I think it's gonna disappoint, but hey, who knows?
Well, it's one of these movies, like I said, that the first movie is so well regarded that people are gonna, out of interest alone, people are gonna go watch the movie, the sequel.
Yeah,
it's one of those review-proof movies because they want to find out what happens. Will Smith not in the movie is concerning, right? But in the grand scheme of things, it is 20 years later. You don't expect him to pilot a plane. Or go deliver the atomic bomb, whatever have you, right?
I mean, most of the original cast returned except for him.
Well, yeah, but he's
Smith,
the guy. He's a point man.
Yeah,
he's a point man.
And it's not like he's that much older. He's still in peak physical condition. It's not like he's like old and weary. So I'm not sure why he didn't come back for this one. I mean. He's done worse. He's did MIB too.
It's money. It always comes down to money.
Yeah. So you're going for 45 to 50. I'm going 20 to 25, and XSX has it at 68 million. So we'll see where this falls. We have our 3 layers.
Right, we're still both low. I feel we're both low because of the awareness of the movie. I think without Will Smith is a huge blow, but not a death blow. I think it's still on the name alone, on the world alone. I think it still could be able to do really well.
Okay, we'll see.
How about we move on to The Shallows, the horror movie? Mm-hmm. I think a creature feature, really, shark, starring Blake Lively.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to think of this either. I think there's been good word of mouth from the film festivals, right?
I don't follow the film festivals, but the movies could be best summed up as Blake Lively in a bikini and sharks.
Okay. And it's summer. Alright, so what's your figure?
My figure's low. Let's 5 to 10.
Yeah, I'm thinking around there too.
There's this other movie that it reminds me of with
Deep
Halle
Waters
Berry.
Or something. Yeah.
There's Deep Water, with of the shark element, and there's the water element, on a boat with there's the Halle Berry and this Spanish guy, which didn't do well either. Oh, Dark Tide, which has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
And it's really Halle Berry. It's a thriller, with Halle Berry in a bikini.
Well, if Halle Berry can't draw them in a bikini.
Right.
Yeah, I'm kind of there too, 5 to 10 million.
I think it's going to be on the low end of that.
Yeah, it could be, yeah. Alright, should we move on to a Free State of Jones?
Okay, Free State of Jones is kind of a Western-ish movie starring Matthew McConaughey, which is an odd movie, really, in this thing. Different movie. Not odd, but different.
Right. I'm not feeling it either. I'm going to 5 to 10 on this too.
I'm gonna revise my shallow projection to 5. Free State of Jones, let's do 8.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that, on both of them.
Yeah, it's just not. These are not huge movies, I guess. Like we said, more straight to video releases because of the names involved.
Right.
But not these concepts that people would say, oh, you know what? I'm gonna watch this over Independence Day or Finding Dory or Central Intelligence.
Right.
Final one is the Neon Demon.
Yeah, this one actually has reviews. It's 50% on Rotten Tomatoes or 40 reviews. From the look of the poster, is a horror movie?
Yeah, horror movie without human monsters, really. Not supernatural.
Alright.
I think.
That's weird. Keanu Reeves is in it.
Yeah, it's directed by Nicholas Winding Refn, starring Elle Fanning, Gina Malone, Christina Hendricks. So a lot of good names. But it's a weird movie. It's kind of more like the world of fashion models. The interesting world of fashion models, and I guess the cutthroat world of fashion modeling.
So what are you putting this at?
5 and below.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one too.
I guess if people want to look at beautiful people, I guess there's that. But it's one of these, I don't know, you see the trailer, it's kind of psychedelic, about beauty. People go to great lengths to climb to the top, I guess, all these things, and all the people in the industry.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one too.
Not gripping stuff, kind of like an insider movie, really.
Right.
So there we have it. We're not that big on this week's movies, besides Independence Day, the sequel. Yeah. I think we're both low on the projections because no Will Smith.
Yeah, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think this movie has gone beyond, a lead actor, at least for the sequel. Whether it can stand alone or whether there'll be another Independence Day. When it was in the works, they planned the Independence Day in 2 parts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then, because of budget concerns, they just made 1 movie.
Ah, okay.
So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Hey, who knows? Maybe if the reviews come out and it's great, then hey.
No, if it reviews or great, then it only helps. But even if it's not great, I think it won't be that much of a big difference because people just want to see what happened.
Yeah, Roland Emmerich, his films don't depend on reviews.
Yeah, that's true too. And I suspect that it might be, like you said, it might be more Terminator Genesis than Terminator 2 for the sequel.
Right.
So,
okay.
There's that.
All right, we'll see how it does this week.
Yeah, we'll see Independence Day. Look, Independence Day without Will Smith.
Yeah.
Remember, he owns the 4th, but not this
year.
Only,
not even in a movie named Independence Day.
All right, we will come back next week and see how we did and how Independence Day did.
All right, see you guys next week.